kind of knew from the beginning, I think, that I wanted to be a writer. As far as writing children's books, though, that came much later. When I was a kid, I was certain that I would read a novel full of angst and murder and mayhem and all those kinds of wonderful things. But when I had children of my own and I read to them, which is something that I did with great pleasure from about the day that I brought them each one home from the hospital, I fell in love with their picture books. Ever since I can remember, ever since really fairly early childhood, I have been fascinated with the subject of early man. When I was a little girl and I would hear adults, or maybe even in school, I would hear older kids talking about something that they had read, some fossil discovery, the remains of early man that had been unearthed someplace. To me, that was absolutely fascinating. When I was a kid, if I wasn't to be found somewhere, maybe in a tree reading a book, I was probably digging a hole. And this is the truth. I lived in Los Angeles, and I would dig excavations in the backyard, craters. I was absolutely determined that I was going to find a fossil of early man. And I wasn't after just a minor shin bone. I wanted a skull. I wanted the skull of the earliest human ever found. Didn't know at the time, of course, that I was digging on the wrong continent. Never did find Los Angeles man, but I gradually, my parents, bless them, kind of put up with that for a while. I think that they understood that I would go from digging holes to digging into books into this subject. And so I've always loved the subject, been fascinated with the work of paleoanthropologists and the discoveries that they have made. And that was really the inspiration for the book We. The earliest fossil records of pre-humans were found in Central Africa, in Chad, and have been dated to about 7 million years ago. And then we go through gradually the evolution and development of human beings, their immigrations out of Africa to all parts of the globe, and all the way up to present day. So it's a very broad subject for a 32-page picture book, and for a single poem, the entire history of humanity. But I wanted to touch on the things that make us human, the universal things, the religion and art and music and transportation and agriculture, the negative things as well. You can't tell the history of humanity without touching on war. I was absolutely awestruck when I saw Ken's illustrations. There's a beautiful progression, I think, in his collages, which is perfect for the poem We, because as the book progresses, his collages become busier, they become jam-packed, they become congested, as the planet did. And he brings a wonderful kind of glowing quality to these illustrations. I thought to myself, what a challenge. I mean, what have we presented him with? It was hard enough, certainly, to write and condense the whole history of mankind. Now we're asking him to illustrate that. So what would he choose? What would he choose to illustrate art and music and war and technology and transportation and all of those things? It was absolutely fascinating to me to see what he had done, and did it beautifully. But of course, I hope that there are things that readers will take with them after they read the book, things that will stay with them. And what I hope most of all is that in young readers, it will perhaps awaken a sense of curiosity about who we were, where we came from, how that happened, how we progressed, where we've been, and maybe where we're going as well. That's what I hope. And perhaps most of all, I would like to leave readers with the knowledge that we are all one human family. In a sense, if you went back far enough to our most ancient ancestors, we were all born under the same roof, which was the African sky, of course. And I love that fact, and hope that readers will take that from We.